I've got these two WTB Trail Boss tires that at first glance, it seems like they're the same, but really they're actually quite different. And I've got this super cheap tire sealant to test out. What's up guys, this is Brian with Down to Ride MTB, and I'm back with yet another tire review video. But this is kind of a unique one, which I don't think you're going to see a review exactly like this anywhere else. So like I said, I've got these two WTB Trail Boss tires. They're both 29 by 2.4. They're both the TCS, that's the tubeless compatible system, and they're both the light, fast rolling combination. But that's where the similarities end. This one is a 2019 model, and it doesn't have anything else on the side of it other than the things I already read. And you know, if you've been biking for a while and you've ever ridden a Trail Boss, this is probably the tire that you rode. This one, on the other hand, is either a 2021 or 2022 model. It's got a little bit more information on the side of it. It's got the Tri-Tech compound, so that's 3 different diameters of rubber. It's also got slash guard. And with that slash guard, it is noticeably thicker on the sidewall than this older model. If you're used to Maxxis tires, I would say it's actually probably even a little bit thicker than the EXO protection that they have. But the biggest difference is actually the tread pattern. On this one, this is the older one, you'll see that the knobs are packed in tighter. They're lower. This is a faster rolling tire. On the newer model here, you'll see that the knobs are higher in the center tread and also on the side knobs. They're actually, I would say, really high on the side for what you would consider a rear tire. And they're also spaced out a little bit more, which should help them dig in more. So my idea is to use this as a front tire, keep this as the rear tire, and I think that's going to give a good fast rolling but also pretty grippy combination of tires. I'm going to weigh these. This is the old Trail Boss. It's coming in at 892 grams, which is pretty lightweight, especially considering the fact that I have repaired this tire. Had a big gash in it that the sealant wouldn't seal up, and it also cut through the sidewall, so that's probably adding a little bit of weight, honestly. Now here is the newer Trail Boss tire, and the specs on the website say this should be 972 grams. And as you can see, this is coming in 1131, which I'm really not too thrilled about. The one thing I will say is that on the website, it's showing a SG2, a slash guard 2, so that may be the very newest model, and maybe they've gotten it lightened up a little bit. Now the other thing this is going to give me a chance to do is test out this KOM Cycling tubeless tire sealant. I found it on Amazon. It was super cheap. I can't remember what the price was, but I'll put it on the screen. When I got this, there were only 2 reviews. One of them said it was the worst tire sealant they've ever used and it dried up in a week. And the other one was a 5-star review that said it was great tire sealant, another great product by KOM Cycling. So let's go ahead and get to swapping these tires out. Oh, this one is giving me some trouble because the sealant has completely dried up and formed like this, you know, this connection between both sides. Ugh. Similar situation here with the sealant sealing the 2 edges of the tire. So when it comes to mounting up tires and making sure you don't put them on going the wrong way, Maxxis makes this easy if you can just remember one thing. You put the side that has the tire name and all the other information, you put that on the drive side, and then the side that just has the Maxxis logo goes on the non-drive side, which would be where your brake rotor is. WTB doesn't make it quite as easy because they put the same thing on both sides of the tires. The logo, the tire name, all the little specs, and then exactly the same thing on this side. So in order to make sure you get this right, you would kind of just want to orient it how you see the tire. This is the front tire, brake rotor on my left, and then you want the ramped edge of the tread facing forward, which is the way that I actually have it in my hand. So this KOM sealant already gets bad marks because I took off the little seal on the inside, started shaking it up, and it just like was coming out of the bottle. It's tightened down, and it's gotten all over there. These little bathroom cups are exactly 3 ounces. And spilling already. Dump it in. Now the one thing that I noticed about this sealant is there are not any little like flakes or anything like that. I'm used to orange seal, and it's got what looks like little metal flakes in there, which I assume helps seal little punctures up and stuff like that. So instead, I'm going to toss a little bit of this glitter in here. All right, I still got the valve core out so I can get more air going in. All right, that went on nice and easy. I think taking out the valve core makes that process even easier. I've always used a floor pump, but it seemed like that's the easiest it's ever been for me. So shake it up, bounce it around, spin it around, get that sealant all moved around in there. You go ahead and get the other tire on. No need for you really to watch that. Well, I'm an absolute sweaty mess. I finally got this rear one seated on. Had to break out the big guns for that. The compressor. Ironically, I said I've always just used the floor pump, and I just could not get that one with the floor pump. But we're already getting a test on the sealant, because there's one spot right here that I guess there was a hole, a little tiny pinhole. It's actually sealed that up. Seems to have sealed that up. And then right where I repaired the sidewall, you actually see some bubbling out there. So this is going to be a pretty good test to see if the sealant works just by kind of sealing this thing up. Before I get it back on the bike, let's compare these two now that they're inflated. So same thing as before with the older style one over here. And I mean, you can really just see those side knobs protruding up a lot farther. Center knob, same thing. Like I said before, bigger gap between the two. So I'm thinking this will be pretty good for a front tire, especially for the types of trails that I ride. So I'm going to get these back on the bike, take it for a test ride, and give you my first impressions. All right, we're going to jump right into it here on Blueberry at Pocahontas Park. Nice, fun downhill section to start it. A little bit of good news related to the tire. The rear one anyway, that had that hole in it. The sealant has completely sealed that up, so no issues there. Strangely, however, though, it's like leaking sealant at the bead. Even if you press on the bead, it leaks a little bit. I don't know if a ride like this is going to help seat it or not. And I say strangely because this tire has been on this rim before. It's the exact tire, exact rim. And it was so hard to seat. You know, I had to use the compressor to do it. That you would think that seal would be really tight. Now, this is actually my first ride with this setup. So these are all going to be like early impressions of it. I apologize for the bell too. I'm out here extremely early in the morning. Early enough that I can get a ride in. Whew, still be to work by 8. It's also probably a little bit dark in some of these sections, but with the bell, would like the wildlife to know that I'm coming. So far, both tires are feeling pretty good. The front doesn't feel like it's losing grip or anything weird like that. Feels relatively quick. Lots of spider webs in the face. That felt slightly drifty on that one. I took that too slow to really push the tires. Well, that was weird. My mind played a trick on me. Thought that sign was a person, which at this time there's like nobody here. Now I want a slow, gradual climb like I'm on now. I don't think it feels any faster or slower than the dissector DHR combo that I had before. Downhills, like I just did, I don't know, kind of feels about the same too. But I am running Strava. And I did the same trail a couple weeks ago, so I'd like to know if there's any difference. Of course, there's the human element. Was I feeling better? Legs feeling better? Breathing better? Who knows? Now, there was one other kind of strange thing I noticed too. Once they were back on the bike, I was just looking at it and I'm like, man, that back tire looks bigger. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's stretched because I had such a hard time inflating it, but that doesn't make sense. So I started looking at the specs on the tires. The rear one, it has a 57 millimeter section width, I think is what it called it, something like that. And the front, 55. So while the front definitely has larger knobs, you know, that rear casing or carcass of the tire is noticeably larger. Whew, on the old one. Talking and not paying attention. All right, let's check out this bead. Sealant, it looks actually dried. Yeah, nothing's spewing out the bead, so that's good news. All right, let's check, see if I can find the spot where it was leaking sealant, see if it's leaking anything now. Yeah, I don't see anything, so I'm actually pretty impressed by this cheap sealant. I mean, I know it's only short term, but it's plugged up that hole. There's nothing leaking out of anywhere, and this is a very old tire. So, yeah, I'm impressed by it. I'm going to leave a link for that in the description. All right, so it's 6:26. My watch still thinks I'm asleep. So I got a little bit of time. Gonna hit Bell downhill. So what's the conclusion on this dual Trail Boss setup? Well, I'm going to skip over that older tire that I'm using for the rear because it's not something that you could go out and buy anyway. For the newer 2.4 Trail Boss, I could see actually two uses for that. One, on flow trails, stuff like you're seeing here, use it as a front tire, gives you enough grip, but it's not too heavy, especially if you get the latest version with the Slash Guard 2. I did find a review online of somebody that had an actual one of those and weighed it, and it came in a little bit under 1,000 grams. So the Slash Guard 2 is definitely saving some weight over this tire that I'm running. Now the other use would be as a rear tire, which is really what it's intended for. And I would say, you know, for anybody who's tried a Trail Boss before, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or previous to that, and you tried it and you just thought, this thing rolls pretty fast, but it just doesn't give me the grip that I want. I think it might give you the grip that you want now. As you saw, those knobs are definitely larger than the older version. They're spaced out a little bit more. It's just an overall more aggressive tire. And real quick on that sealant, since I've filmed this video, I got a couple more rides in. Then we moved, and I haven't ridden for like 3 weeks or maybe even 4 weeks now. And the tires are still holding air. They're definitely down a little bit. You know, you can feel they're a little bit softer. And if you're interested in how that sealant performs long term, I'm going to give it another month or so, and then I'll check it out. I'll probably pull out the valve cores and see if it's fully dried up, if there's anything left. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Think about subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Whoa, that sucked.